Plant and Animal Cells and Tissues, by Anandovsky. Plant cells, what is it? Plant cell is the basic unit of all plants. Plant cells, like animal cells, are eukaryotic, meaning they have a membrane-bound nucleus and organelles. What's the function of plant cell? Photosynthesis is the major function performed by plant cells. Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplasts of the plant cell. It is the process of preparing food by the plants, by utilizing sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. Let us look into the key components of the plant cell. Cell wall. A cell wall made of cellulose is characteristic of plant cells. Nucleus. All plant cells contain a nucleus, a structure that stores DNA and acts as a cell's command center. Chloroplasts. They are organelles found in plant cells and some algae that are responsible for photosynthesis. Cytoplasm. The gel-like substance that fills the cell, where most cellular processes occur, containing organelles. Now let's look at animal cell. An animal cell is a basic unit of life that makes up all animals, characterized by a cell membrane, cytoplasm, and a membrane-bound nucleus, lacking a cell wall, and containing organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and Golgi apparatus. The primary function of an animal cell is to provide structure to an organism, absorb nutrients to convert into energy, facilitate movement, and contain genetic material, DNA, which is passed on to offspring. Let's look at the key components of animal cell. Nucleus. Nucleus is a membrane-bound organelle located in the center of the cell. Cell membrane. A cell membrane in an animal cell, also called a plasma membrane, is a thin, flexible outer layer that surrounds the cell. Cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the gel-like, fluid substance that fills the space between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Mitochondria. Mitochondria are membrane-bound cell organelles that generate most of the chemical energy needed to power the cell's biochemical reactions. Cells are organized into tissues, which are organized into organs, which are organized into organ systems. Let us study plant tissues and animal tissues. Plant tissues. Plant tissues are groups of cells that perform specific functions in plants, such as providing structure, transporting nutrients, and storing food. Plant tissues have many functions, including providing support and structure, transporting materials, and helping with growth. We know that seeded plants have three main parts: roots, stems, and leaves. They also have three types of tissues: ground tissue, vascular tissue, and dermal tissue. Let us look at the types of plant tissues. Vascular tissue carries water, minerals, and sugars throughout the plant. Xylem and phloem are the two main types of vascular tissue. Ground tissue. Found in the interior of the plant, ground tissue supports the plant and stores food and water. There are three types of ground tissues: parenchyma, cholenchyma, sclerenchyma. Next is dermal tissue, a thin layer of cells that protects the soft parts of the plant. Let us see how to identify tissues under a microscope. Basically, to identify tissues under a microscope, primarily observe the cell shape, arrangement, and staining patterns within the tissue sample. We can look into identifying ground tissues. Cholenchyma as ground tissue with thick supportive walls. Look for cells with unevenly thickened cell walls. Sclerenchyma cells have thick, lignified cell walls that are rich in cellulose. Parenchyma cells are loosely packed cells with thin cell walls. Now let us move on to animal tissues. Animal tissue is the types of tissue specific to animals, including humans. These tissues differ from those found in plants and other organisms. Animal tissues perform various functions depending on their type, but generally, they serve to cover and protect body surfaces, support and connect other tissues, enable movement, and transmit nerve impulses. Types of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Muscular tissue is again subdivided into smooth tissue, cardiac tissue, and skeletal tissue. So in short, animal tissues are groups of similar cells that work together to perform a specific function within an animal's body. Let us see how we can identify muscular tissue and nervous tissue using a microscope. Skeletal muscle. This tissue is striated, meaning it appears striped when viewed under a microscope. Cardiac muscles. Look for branched fibers and intercalated discs that connect adjacent cardiac muscle cells. Smooth muscles. Look for spindle-shaped appearance, centrally located nuclei, and the complete absence of striations. To identify a nervous tissue. Identify the cell body, axon, and dendrites. Histology is the study of the microscopic structure of tissues and cells. It's a branch of biology that's also known as microscopic anatomy. Thanks for watching.